everyone, Karen here. So yes, the rumors are true. I can finally confirm that it is finally the day for my Areaware Gradient Jigsaw puzzle review. I feel really bad. They sent these puzzles to me literally over a year ago, and I have been meaning to make this video for so long, and I just never got to it, but finally, today is the day. So Areaware is a site that stocks a big variety of trendy home decor items, and one of their products that they sell are these gradient puzzles, which were designed by Bryce Wilner. Nope, not Bruce. They were designed by Bryce Wilner. Sorry, Bryce. So they have 5 different colors, and each color comes in a 500-piece version and a 100-piece version. So before I get into the specifics of the puzzles, I just want to make it clear that Areaware has been nothing but kind and generous to me. They are a top-notch company. I actually bought the 500-piece, hang on, sorry, no, what am I saying? Okay, let me start that again. So I actually got the 500-piece gray puzzle as a gift from my sister. I had actually never seen it before she gave it to me, and I loved it. It was like no other puzzle I had ever seen at that time. After that, I bought the 500-piece yellow and orange one, and also the 500-piece teal one, which is in the back there. I bought those with my own money for myself because at the time they only offered these 3 colors. And then when they came out with the purple version and the green and yellow version, and also the 100-piece versions, that's when they sent me all of the 100-piece versions and the purple one and the green one. Okay, does that make sense? So, okay, I think these puzzles make beautiful home decor items, conversation starters. They're just gorgeous objects to hold, but I have a few issues with them as jigsaw puzzles. I know that in previous videos I have spoken very highly about these, but now that I filmed the whole process and I'm just generally looking at puzzles with a more critical eye, I did find some things that I don't really love about them. And spoiler alert, I actually didn't even manage to finish one of them that I was filming for this video, so I will get to all of that in just a minute. But before that, let me show you these gorgeous boxes. There's no branding on the outside of the boxes, just the saturated, beautiful colors of the gradient. If you wanted to glue the puzzles together or store the pieces somewhere else, you could use these as storage boxes for whatever you want, and I think they are just gorgeous pieces of home decor. On the back, there's a little summary of the thought behind the puzzle, as well as a haiku, which is the first time I've ever seen a haiku on a puzzling box. And of course, the puzzle size and basic info is on there as well. When you get the box, it is shrink wrapped, and there's a sticker on the outside of the shrink wrap, which I'm kind of on the fence about. I like that the boxes aren't branded, but I feel like the sticker is kind of a nice design element that you lose when you open it up. But I do like that on the back there is a super subtle piece shape that shows you the size of the puzzle pieces that are inside. When you open the box, the pieces are in a sealed plastic bag that you have to cut open. The boxes are white inside, and there's nothing else that comes in the box, just the puzzle pieces. The box is the exact right size to hold all of the pieces. This is an issue that I had with the smaller Ravensburger boxes from my last review, but this one is just perfect. So I'm going to really speed through putting together this puzzle because we have a lot to get through and I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long. So when a lot of people see gradient puzzles, they think that they'll be a lot harder than normal puzzles. But that's not necessarily the case because the thing with gradient puzzles is that each section of color is all grouped in one area. So instead of putting together small sections and needing to figure out where in the puzzle they'll connect, With this one, you literally just build the puzzle from one side to the other, matching the colors as you go. That's why promo photos like these kind of bug me, because that's so fake. You would never have sections of color missing before you move on to the next color. So the beginning of this puzzle went fairly quickly. The gradient is strong enough that at the top of the puzzle, it's pretty easy to tell which piece goes in which row, and then you just build out each row. From starting to put it together to when I had to sort out the pieces by shape took me about 40 minutes. But from there, and this is my big issue with this puzzle, the entire lower third of this puzzle is the exact same color. Now look, guys. The design on this puzzle is not complicated. It's a gradient. You can make it in Photoshop in like 10 seconds. And the whole point of doing a gradient puzzle is that it's a gradient from top to bottom, and that it's different, like slightly different colors from top to bottom. If I wanted to do a solid colored puzzle, I would do the white Ravensburger puzzle or the yellow Dole Banana puzzle. Literally, if we go into Photoshop, I can recreate this puzzle design, and it takes less than a minute to ensure that the gradient goes all the way from the top of the puzzle to the bottom of the puzzle, and that it doesn't just live in like the top 2/3 of the puzzle. So, I mean, like, I could have finished this, but I sat there for almost another hour just staring at these blue pieces, and I just was not making any progress. To me, that's just not fun, having to use a brute force method and just try piece after piece and not really feel like you're moving forward, not having any more clues about what piece goes where besides the piece shape. Like, the colors just don't, there's no color difference, there's no texture difference. I just find that so frustrating and so tedious. And I literally, like, never do this, especially not with the puzzles I'm filming, but I decided to just give up and take it apart before I had finished the puzzle. I mean, eventually I could have finished it, but, you know, I've got videos to make, I've got other puzzles to do, I don't have 3 hours to just sit and stare at one single color and, you know, just be frustrated with it. So when I looked more closely at all of the boxes, I realized that pretty much all of the colored puzzles have this same issue. You can easily tell that the orange and the green ones also have the gradient kind of in the top third of the puzzle. With the teal one, the colors are so similar anyway that it's a little hard to tell where the gradient is centered, but I mean, this one would be so difficult because the colors are the most similar out of any of them. Although I did do it once, like a long time back when I first got that puzzle. I wish I could tell you how long it took me, but I honestly have no idea. But here's the thing, and I don't know why they did this, but the black and white one does have the gradient a lot more centered, and it's a lot wider, so it actually is running from top to bottom of the puzzle. So even though I wanted to do a colorful puzzle for you guys for the camera, the black and white one is probably the most doable in a reasonable amount of time. So let's get started with that one. So, okay, let me show you the pieces a little bit more close up. They're pretty glossy, so you do have to be careful of glare, which is a little annoying since you want to be able to see the slightest differences in color. They're a nice thick cardboard, and the pieces are all of the typical puzzle piece shapes, no weird ones in there. The ins and outs of the pieces are super round and bulbous, which isn't something that I've seen a lot of, but I like it. However, and you can keep an eye out for this as I do the puzzle, and also in the slower time lapse that I'm gonna put up soon, there were a lot of points where I thought a piece fit into place, but it didn't actually go there. Some of that might be on me from not being able to look directly over the puzzle without my head blocking the shot, but I feel like when the only thing your puzzle has to differentiate the pieces is the color and the shape, and there's no texture or other clues, you really should make sure that every piece is extra unique. I don't like having to shuffle around pieces after I think that I've got them in place. I want to be able to trust this puzzle, that everything goes where it fits so that I can keep moving forward without second guessing every piece. A little trick is to pick up the pieces and see if you can see light shining through, because that means that it's not a perfect fit, whereas the ones that are correct are a very tight fit, so there's no gaps or light shining through. But, I mean, you're not gonna do the entire thing over a light box, and you're not gonna pick up every piece to check it. So that is a major issue that I had with this puzzle. Another thing to note about this puzzle is that the gradient is printed on it as a true gradient. And what I mean by that is that with the 1,000 Colors puzzle, each piece is a solid, slightly different color, but in this one, each piece has a slight piece of the gradient. So that tells you which direction the piece will go, which definitely makes it easier and not quite as intimidating. With this puzzle, each row is essentially a unique color. Well, I mean, it's a slight gradient, but you know what I mean. So not counting the edges, you basically have 18 pieces of each color, and you really just have to identify them and use the shapes of the pieces to put them into place. I mean, that sounds simple enough, but it is definitely more difficult than other gradient puzzles I've done. With these two puzzles, you have all different hues and saturation levels, and you never have 18 essentially identical pieces. So when it comes to gradient puzzles, if you're new to them, I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting with the Areaware ones, since they are definitely more of a challenge. But if you want a challenge and you like kind of tedious, methodical puzzling, then these were made for you. So the bottom of this puzzle is fairly similar colors like the purple one, but since the gradient is so much wider, it's definitely much more doable than the purple one. Like, I can just barely see the differences in color, whereas in the purple one, it was literally just, I mean, it all looked like the exact same color at the bottom. So this one took me about an hour and a half to finish, but, are you ready for this? The very last piece didn't fit. I've literally never had this happen before. I had to take a very close look at the rest of the puzzle to find the piece that was in the wrong spot, and eventually I found it and swapped them. But if a piece can be completely surrounded and still look right, I just cannot believe that. To me, that is the mark of a very lazy puzzle cut, and with such a simple design, I just wish they had put more time into making sure that every single piece was a completely unique shape, so that things like this wouldn't happen. Okay, so I know that I was fairly critical of these as jigsaw puzzles, but now that I'm done actually putting it together, I cannot be more excited to look at it as an art piece and use it to take some cool photos. I love how simple the puzzle pieces are to be able to take cool photos like these without the picture on the puzzle distracting from the shapes the pieces are making. I think this puzzle looks beautiful. It's such a gorgeous idea, and it's almost like an art piece. I just wish they had maybe done a few test runs with experienced puzzlers to fix some of the issues that I just talked about. But okay, before I go, I also want to talk about the 100-piece puzzles. I was so excited to get started on these because, as you can see, they're still sealed, so they've just been sitting there waiting for me to make this video so that I could finally do them. And these puzzle pieces are like candy. They're so brightly colored, they look like toys. I think they are gorgeous, especially if you have all 5 of the puzzles and you do them right next to each other. They're so saturated and beautiful. This right here, this is everything I love in a puzzle. So when it came time to actually put the puzzles together, I mean, They're 100 pieces. It didn't take me long, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes for each one. Since they're only 100 pieces, the issues that I had with the colors being too similar on the larger puzzles, that was not an issue here. There are so few pieces that it's really easy to tell where each one goes. These are not difficult puzzles. But what I realized doing them in a stack is that they used the exact same puzzle cut for each one. So you could just leave them as they are, maybe use them as placemats. That would be so pretty in a table setting with all white dishware. But since all 5 of them are the same cut, I also took this opportunity to mix up the colors a bit and get a few more fun photos out of them. I love these so much, not even just as jigsaw puzzles, but as building blocks, almost like Legos, to really get creative with and build your own design. I don't know if that's what they intended when they made these, but I had so much fun. I had a great time playing with them and just seeing what new designs I could come up with. And since they're only 100 pieces each, it was easy enough to separate them back out once I was done. Alright guys, I know that review was kind of all over the place. I did have some major issues with them as puzzles, but as art pieces and home decor and conversation starters, I think that's where they really shine. So it really just depends on what you're looking for. If you are a hardcore puzzler that is all about the puzzle quality and you don't really care like what the picture is actually of, then these might not be the right ones for you. But if you're willing to make a few concessions just to have like a different beautiful item in your home, then these are so beautiful. In terms of pricing, the 500-piece puzzles are $25 each, the 100-piece puzzles are $15 each. And then I don't have these to show you, but they also came out with 2 1,000-piece versions, which are $35 each. Oh, and one more thing. Something about the original puzzles that I wish they had done was make them into a continuous gradient. Like, these yellows, they're pretty similar. This is probably where it gets closest to a continuous gradient, but it's not quite the same. This green and this green, actually I guess that one's pretty close too, but the blue, like I feel like we're missing a piece here with like this light blue going into this darker blue. And I just feel like if they made a continuous gradient, that would kind of encourage more people to buy the whole set. Like imagine if you did each one, framed each one, and then put them in a hallway, like making a continuous gradient all the way down. That would be so pretty. But anyway, that's just my unsolicited feedback. I guess this whole review is my unsolicited feedback. But they also just recently came out with these pattern puzzles, which look super fun. After this video, I don't know if they're ever gonna send me another puzzle again, but if they do, those are the ones that I would want. So if you've done those puzzles or the gradient puzzles, I would love to know what your thoughts are, if you agree or disagree with anything that I said. As always, the links to where you can get these puzzles will be right down below in the description. I'm also gonna have a playlist of all of my other Jigsaw puzzle reviews, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Jigsaw puzzle videos. And this video is far long enough. I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.